Hello, Steve White, Trek Y89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, we've had our third episode in a row of Strange New Worlds that was actually decent, that actually feels like or functions like a Star Trek episode. Now, this episode, What is Starfleet? It examines what is Starfleet through a documentary being made by Ortega's brother, Beto. Now, he starts off very cynically, sort of attacking Starfleet, basically asking what's the difference between it and an empire, what's the difference between it and the military. He's got personal issues, which is why he's sort of cynical and biased. And he sets up a lot of his interviews to expose, Starfleet on some level. And there's even a point where he's emotionally manipulative to Uhura to try and get a reaction out of her. And we have this mission that unfolds while he's making this documentary, because he's not necessarily making a documentary about that mission, he's making a documentary about Starfleet in general. But we have a situation where there is a race called the Lutani Vetan, I think they were called, and they need an alien transported to a planet called Turkus, I think Trikus B. So I've written these down, I can't remember the names. And it's supposed to be like breeding stock. But then what they discover is that it's actually a weapon. It's on the outside of the ship, then one of these other, because there's been a war between these two races and one lost like 9 billion lives, the other lost like thousands or something. And they're transporting this livestock on behalf of one of the races. The other race attacks. And the, I think it's called the Jakaru, basically defends itself, attacks them, destroys them, and they discover there's actually a weapon, that it has been biologically altered to be a weapon and to be aggressive and angry and so forth. So they have this sort of issue now where they realise they're not delivering livestock and it's not a humanitarian exercise, it's actually a manipulation. It's a military thing where they're basically supposed to be delivering a weapon of mass destruction. So at one point Spock and Uhura and that go out in a shuttle to try and communicate with it, because it does eventually break free of its essentially shock collar, because the Enterprise didn't realise it was sort of, it's like another space whale. And eventually they try and talk to it, and there's another attack and there's damage and Spock and that are injured in that. But ultimately they see that this creature is not, it wasn't intended to be this. It was manipulated, and it basically decides to end its own life, and they assist it in basically throwing itself into a sun. And the whole time Beto is sort of watching this and doing the interviews, and that he sees another side of Starfleet. He sees the complexity of dealing with and managing and interpreting the orders that they're getting from Starfleet. They're not just the military. They don't just follow orders. They have elements of the military. They have elements of the way an empire colonizes and, imposes law and so forth. But we also see how the people, deal with these things. And Uhura's sort of statement, was it Uhura or Una? They both sort of gave, there were a few speeches in this episode. It was said that Starfleet is the people and their choices. It's not, the sort of, the organisation is defined by the people in it and their morals and their choices and so forth. So it feels like a fairly fair examination of Starfleet. It comes off initially cynical and nasty, and it seems that sometimes the writers of New Trek don't like Star Trek or Starfleet, and they're very cynical about it. And it sounds like them in the beginning, but eventually you do seem to see what's behind Starfleet. And we sort of see a little bit of insight into the characters, why they joined Starfleet through their interviews, why Spock joined, why Lan is there wanting to find control after losing her parents and so forth. I think that's it. It's an interesting episode. Just it's not a big action episode. It's spending a lot of time talking and thinking about Starfleet and what it is. And I don't think these people really get Star Trek and Starfleet, and I think part of the vision Gene Roddenberry is lost on them. Gene Roddenberry had is lost on them, but they do a better job of defining Starfleet than I thought they could or would, and the fact that they are doing that instead of just another romantic, sort of cringe comedy episode is good. But unfortunately, the next episode is 4.5 Vulcans. So we've had 3 episodes in a row that were okay. We're going to get the worst episode of the season next, and then only 2 more episodes for the season. So hopefully they'll pick it back up for the end. But yeah, so okay episode. Some people already seem to have issues with it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this latest episode and examination of Starfleet, and what it means and what it is.